Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Hendu's show. We're so excited that you're here. Okay guys, there appears to have been a terrorist attack in New Orleans, and so we could guess at a few things, but let's see what unfolds here.
Here on the desk, thank you so much for joining us as we're continuing to learn more information. We did have that brief update from law enforcement in New Orleans talking about what they know at the point, the postponement of the Sugar Bowl and whatnot. And we're getting just different live pictures in right now from New Orleans as well, as you can see there. Just off of Bourbon Street, this attack. We're going to be joined right now to learn more information, to try to glean what this investigation is uncovering and deciphering at this moment. We're going to bring in right now Ashton Pack, a former FBI counterterrorism officer. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. I know it's a very limited information of what we know right now, but what we're gathering, 10 people killed, dozens more injured. They have identified the suspect. What are you curious about what this investigation is unfolding right now?
Well, thank you for having me. And I woke up, to the worst news in the world to see that this horrific attacks occurred. And my thoughts go out to the families of these victims. It's just a horrible thing to start the new year with. But, we were screaming for years back when I was working in counterterrorism investigations to look out for these low-level attacks, vehicle rammings that then kind of turn to a dynamic active shooter event that I think, on the surface of what it kind of appears to be, that's what this was. But right now the investigation, is running full tilt. I'm sure mirrored FBI agents, local investigators, task force officers, which that's what I was when I was working with FBI. Just working nonstop to try to run down all the leads. Things that they're going to be digging into right now are going to be what his network was, his phone, his emails, his communications, who was he talking to. This is a U.S. citizen from what I've read. He's a former veteran of the Army. So this wasn't a person who's like the early reports were wrong. I think maybe that truck had gone over the border, but he's a U.S. citizen with military experience. And it's, not to say that the border isn't an issue and the problems that we've had there. We're going to continue to face those in this coming new year. But yeah, it's they want to know everyone that he's been communicating with. And then is this a bigger plot? Is there more threats that are, that are looking to...
If you haven't heard, there's also a cyber truck that blew up in Las Vegas. And that truck was rented from the same company that this guy rented this truck from. So they don't know if there's a tie yet, but that's what they're looking at.
Target the sports activities that are supposed to occur there this weekend there in New Orleans. Is this something bigger that's about to start across the nation? We've had an incident here in Las Vegas today that I know a lot of my former partners at the Las Vegas Metro Police are running to ground. Not really sure what that is quite yet, but a scary day to wake up on the first day of the new year and to see all this craziness happening in our country.
Yeah, it is a terrifying moment, and you can only imagine what the people in New Orleans are thinking right now. And as we have that picture up just off Bourbon Street, but also in Houston, as police and the FBI in Houston are looking into that residence. You mentioned what's going on in Las Vegas with the cyber truck and the explosion, the fatal fire there. How does the FBI connect those?
Oh, and just to let you know, I also did a video on that incident, the cyber truck in Las Vegas. So if you look in my video listing, you'll find it.
Dots, because it feels like there are a lot of dots right now at this point in a very fluid moment. How do they connect them?
Well, they have an amazing amount of resources in their tool bag. They utilize advanced analytical software. They have an army of agents and analysts that are, often operating 24/7 in the shadows that most people, most Americans don't, they don't have the FBI. You see law enforcement, you see marked patrol officers, but most Americans don't even realize that there's frontline FBI agents that are working, 24/7 in this country to mitigate terrorism and crime in our communities. I think right now what they're doing is they're probably, again, looking at his contacts, looking at his phones, looking at his computers, his iPad. Everything that happens today as far as crime and terrorism is concerned is linked to the telephones, linked to the smartphones. And then, the problem that we're going to face here, and I think what is going to be a struggle for the law enforcement community, especially at the federal level, is the encryption. Was he communicating via encrypted devices? If it's encrypted, they basically cannot get into that. He's a U.S. citizen, so he's going to have the rights of the Constitution. So he's not a foreign person that some of our intelligence community could probably crack into something nation state level that wouldn't fit the bill here. So right now they're just using all the analytical tools that they have at their disposal, and they're really trying to find out, is this a part? The number one concern right now is there an ongoing threat to other communities, New Orleans, Houston, information run to ground and any threats mitigated as fast as they humanly can.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of those details there as the FBI and law enforcement. They say they don't believe this driver acted alone. An Islamic State group flag was found in the vehicle's trailer hitch, according to the FBI. I want to ask you about that because you mentioned the fact that this is a U.S. citizen. They did spend time in the United States Army and potentially inspired by foreign terrorist organizations. How concerning is that? And maybe how frequent is it? Is it a rare occurrence to find this happening?
Well, terrorism has kind of been in the shadows in the last couple of years. I think a lot of, you saw what happened in Israel last October or an October and a half ago. And I think, we always see it as an issue that's over there. My personal thoughts are we faced this in the days years ago of local homegrown, we call them homegrown violent extremists, U.S. citizens who are just kind of infected with this ideological idea set that they have to go and do this on behalf of this false, religious organization that claims to be some kind of a religious front to Islam. So it's not rare. It's happened before. It kind of had a little bit of a lull in the years since things kind of took a little bit of they basically were bombed into submission, and I think they were kind of regrouping and kind of reassessing how they were going to fight moving forward. But here it is today again. A U.S. citizen with former military experience. Not the first time it's happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, very unfortunate. And we do want to just continue it because, as I mentioned, very fluid situation. And we are now learning from the AP that the death toll has risen from 10 to now 15. I want to put up this post here.
Okay, guys, let's stop a second. I've got some footage of the incident in New Orleans right when it happened. And we also have another angle that happened, same incident.
And we do have some surveillance footage that was taken by a nearby business that we want to show you. Look at this. You can see the white truck there that's in this footage. That is the truck that is allegedly tied to this mass casualty event in New Orleans. And look at the NOPD cruiser right there on your screen. The truck approaches that cruiser, turns around the NOPD cruiser onto Bourbon Street, and just hits the gas. This was just a terrifying scene when you watch this and you can kind of see it unfolding.
And I think it is important to point out that Chief Ann Kirkpatrick says that this vehicle went on the sidewalk in order to get around these, barricades or makeshift barricades in the absence of the bollard. So then the questions.
So anyways, there you go. There's a couple of angles and what's happening. But I'm sure more will develop, and I'll bring it to you. Well, have a great night. If you like to comment on anything you saw, please comment. And also like, subscribe, and we'll see you later.